Joy made a dangerous decision that changed everything, but was it love or a terrible mistake she would regret forever? What would make a poor village girl risk everything for a crippled stranger? And what secret was he hiding all along? Joy decided to keep following her heart as her mother advised. She would keep showing up, not for their approval, but for her heart. The gossip didn't die down. In fact, it grew louder with each passing day. What started as whispers had become careless laughter, pointed fingers, and cruel comments that chased Joy everywhere she went. Some women would call out to her mockingly from their stalls, Joy, are you still feeding that your husband? Others would laugh and say, so fine girls are now dating beggars, what a time to be alive. Even little children, repeating what they heard at home, sang strange songs as she passed. Joy said nothing. She walked through it all with her shoulders straight and her head held high, but inside something hurt. Not because of the words, but because Michael hadn't said anything. He hadn't told her what they were or what she meant to him. She just kept showing up, and he just kept waiting. That evening, after a long, quiet day of teasing and unwanted attention, Joy brought Michael his usual food under the mango tree. The sun was setting, casting gold over the dusty ground, and everything looked softer, except the weight in their hearts. Michael watched her silently as she set the tray beside him. She looked tired, not physically, emotionally, like someone who was holding back more than she was letting show. He wanted to reach for her hand, but he stopped himself. Joy, he said gently. She looked up. Yes? There was a pause, a long one. Michael was staring straight ahead, but his voice shook with honesty. I hear what they say, he said finally. I hear it all. Joy looked away. And I hate it, he continued. Not because of me, but because of what it's doing to you. I'm used to people talking, Joy said quietly. I'm not, Michael replied. Not when they're talking about someone I care about. Not when they're making fun of the most amazing person I've ever met. Joy's eyes lifted, slowly. He turned to face her. Joy, I need to tell you something. She didn't speak. I didn't plan for this. I didn't come here looking for love. I came here with something heavy on my heart, with my own pain, my own past, and more secrets than I should carry. But then I met you, and your quiet strength, your fire, the way you smile, even when life spits in your face. He took a shaky breath. I love you, Joy. She froze. I don't just like you. I'm not just grateful. I love you. And I would be the luckiest man alive if I could spend the rest of my life beside you. Joy blinked. Michael. He held up a hand, eyes searching hers. I know I don't have much. And I know I may not be what people expect, but I've never been more sure of anything. You're the most beautiful thing that's ever happened to me. And if you'll let me, I want to build a future with you. Joy stared at him speechless. For the first time in a long time, words failed her. He smiled softly. Say something. She looked down at her hands, then back at him. You don't even know me fully, she whispered. I want to, he replied. Every day for the rest of my life. Joy looked into his eyes, and for a moment everything faded. The gossip, the stares, the mockery, none of it mattered. Not when someone looked at her like that. She stood up quietly. Eat your food before it gets cold, she said with a small, almost shy smile. Then she walked away, but this time her steps were lighter, and Michael smiled to himself. Because even though she hadn't said the words, her eyes had answered him. She knew, and she felt it too. Joy couldn't sleep that night. After Michael's confession, something inside her had shifted. She found herself lying on her mat, staring at the wooden ceiling, torn between what she felt in her heart and what life had taught her to expect. She loved him. She couldn't deny it anymore. She loved him in a quiet, steady way. Not the dramatic love from stories, but the kind that grows from respect, kindness, and presence, from seeing a person for who they truly are. And she'd seen Michael, his laughter, his sadness, his silence, his hunger, his pain. But still, was love enough? She thought of the gossip, of the women who whispered and laughed, of the men who shook their heads in disappointment, of her mother who had sacrificed everything to raise her. She had promised that woman a better life, a life free of pity and struggle. Could she really choose a man who couldn't walk? Was she doing the right thing? The next morning, she sat quietly beside her mother as they tied bundles of firewood together. Her mother kept glancing at her, sensing the heaviness in her spirit. Is it the gossip? Her mother asked softly. Joy shook her head. Then what is it? Joy smiled faintly. I'm just thinking. Her mother reached over and gently squeezed her hand. I told you to follow your heart, Joy. Don't let the world talk you out of your own happiness. That night, Joy went back to the almond tree, not with food this time, but with her heart in her hands. Michael looked up as she approached, his face lighting up when he saw her. She sat beside him. And then, without a word, she leaned her head on his shoulder. Michael froze for a moment. Then slowly his hand found hers. Is that a yes? He whispered. Joy nodded. He let out a shaky breath and laughed softly, a deep, almost tearful laugh. But then his face grew serious. Joy, he said, there's something I need to tell you. She looked up. Michael's eyes filled with emotion. Please, whatever happens after this, just know I didn't mean to hurt you. Joy sat up straight, suddenly alert. I'm not crippled, he said. I never was. Joy blinked. What? Michael nodded, pain tightening his jaw. I pretended. I came to this village like that because I wanted to find something real. A love that wasn't about money or appearances or status. I've had all of those things, but they left me empty. I wanted to be seen, truly seen, and then I met you. Joy stared at him, stunned. I wanted to tell you so many times, he said, but I was afraid. Afraid that you'd hate me, that you'd walk away, that you'd think it was all a game. He took her hand, his eyes pleading. Please forgive me. I never meant to deceive you. I was just searching for something pure, and I found it in you. Please don't walk away. Joy didn't say anything for a long time. Her heart was pounding, her thoughts racing. Then finally, she looked at him. I should be angry, she said. Michael lowered his head. I know, but I'm not, she whispered. His eyes shot up. I saw your heart before I ever knew the truth. That's what I fell for, and that hasn't changed. Michael's chest rose with emotion. But, she added, you must never lie to me again, ever. I won't, he promised, voice trembling. Joy smiled faintly. And this, your truth, will keep it between us. For now, I want it to be a surprise to everyone, especially my mother. Michael's eyes widened. You mean? She nodded. I'll marry you, Michael. He stared at her, overwhelmed, and for the first time in years, a tear slipped down his cheek. Not from pain, not from regret, but from a love so deep it made him feel whole again. Under the fading light of the moon, they sat together, two hearts bound by truth, forgiveness, and a secret only they would share, until the day it would shake the entire village. Michael sat under the mango tree, his phone pressed tightly to his ear. The evening breeze rustled the leaves above as he finally told his father everything. Papa, I found her. There was a pause on the other end. Then his father's deep voice came through. You found her. Who? Michael. My wife, Michael said with quiet certainty. The one I've been searching for. His father was silent again. I need you and Mama to come this weekend, Michael continued. The traditional rites, I want them done properly, but come in simple clothes, no flashy cars, nothing that will give away who we are. You want us to come as villagers? His mother finally asked, confused. Yes, Michael said. Joy doesn't want anyone to know yet, and I agree with her. It should be a surprise. A gift to the people who judged her heart without even knowing the truth. Michael's father sighed. You're really serious about this girl. I've never been more serious about anything in my life. After a brief pause, his father said simply, Then we'll be there, your mother and I, as you wish. That Friday afternoon, a dusty motorcycle dropped off a middle-aged couple at the edge of the village. They wore faded wrappers and simple sandals. No jewelry, no perfume, just warm smiles and humble steps. Nobody recognized them, not as one of the wealthiest couples in the state at least. Joy stood beside Michael, her hands shaking slightly as they introduced themselves to his parents. Joy, this is my mother and my father. Joy curtsied shyly, overwhelmed. His mother embraced her gently, and his father placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. The next day, the traditional rites began. Nothing extravagant, just the way Joy's mother had always dreamed it, honest, heartfelt, respectful. The village elders gathered, drinks were shared, prayers were offered. Michael paid the bride price with his own hands, smiling at Joy like she was the only person in the world. But while one part of the village rejoiced quietly, another part grew darker. The gossip exploded like wildfire. Can you imagine? That girl wants to marry a cripple. She said no to all the young men in this village just to follow someone who can't even stand. She must be cursed. Joy heard it all, the laughter behind her back, the sideways glances, the whispered pity, but she stood tall. Until Joy's uncle, a man with a voice like thunder and a heart full of pride, barged into their compound 2 days later. He didn't even knock. He pointed a finger straight at Joy's mother. You're a disgrace. You let your daughter throw herself into the arms of a beggar, and you smile about it. Joy stepped forward, her heart pounding. Uncle, please. Don't call me that, he barked. You think marriage is a game? That you'll drag this family into shame just because you enjoy suffering? Joy's mother, who had remained silent through many things in her life, finally stood up. Her voice was calm but firm. My daughter is marrying a man who respects her, who values her. That's more than I can say for most so-called wealthy men in this village. Respect? He laughed cruelly. What will respect feed her? Will she eat love and drink humility? You and your daughter, you both love poverty too much. The words stung, but Joy didn't cry. She stood there, eyes burning with quiet fire, holding on to the one truth that no one else in that room knew. They could mock her, they could call her names, but they had no idea what was coming. Because by the end of the week, everything they thought they knew would shatter. The morning sun rose with no mercy, burning gold across the dusty village paths. It was the day of Joy's traditional wedding, the day everyone had waited for, not out of celebration, but curiosity and mockery. They came to witness what they thought would be a pathetic ceremony, a poor girl marrying a crippled man. They didn't come with gifts or good wishes. They came with folded arms, mocking smiles, and sharp tongues. That morning, Joy's mother, tired but determined, whispered to her daughter as they swept the little compound. Don't worry, my child. It may not be much, but love will cover our shame. Let today just go in peace. She had quietly saved up for this day, a few mudas of rice, small pieces of meat, 2 chickens, nothing fancy, nothing worth boasting about, but it was all she could afford. By 7 a.m., she had already sent for her 2 closest friends, Mama Nkechi and Mama Sade, to help her cook. They rolled up their sleeves without hesitation. The small firewood crackled and the scent of onions filled the air. They had just started when a loud honk echoed down the narrow path leading to Joy's home. At first, people thought it was a mistake, but when they turned, they froze. A long white van crept into the compound, kicking up clouds of red dust. On its side were the words in bold blue letters, Royal Touch Event. The van halted, its doors swung open, and out came men in black polos and caps, unloading giant canopies, long tables, musical instruments, buffet trays, ice chests, and coolers of every size and color. The village stood still. Someone whispered, "Wait, are they lost?" But they weren't. They moved swiftly, setting up the canopy like they'd done it 1,000 times. Speakers were rolled into place. Giant pots of steaming jollof rice, fried rice, egusi soup, goat meat, pepper chicken, and salad were arranged in rows. Fruit juices, malt wine, zobo, it was a feast fit for royalty. Mama Nkechi dropped her spoon. Joy's mother's mouth parted slightly. What is going on? Just then, another car pulled in, a sleek black SUV. The windows rolled down and the driver stepped out with a smile. He handed Joy's mother a brown envelope. "Madam, this is from Michael," he said politely. "He said you should relax today. We've got everything covered." Joy's mother blinked, confused. "Michael, but how?" "He traveled 2 days ago to finalize all the arrangements. He said today must be unforgettable." As the van's speakers began playing soft high-life music, villagers started gathering, not out of mockery now, but pure disbelief. "This cannot be the same Joy," someone muttered. "Where did she get money for this kind of event? Did she borrow? Is it from a church?" Children ran from house to house screaming, "Come and see food, come and see canopy." People who had worn their old wrappers to mock the wedding suddenly rushed home to change into better clothes. The energy shifted like a gust of wind. Joy stood by her mother's side, trying to stay calm, but her hands trembled. Her heart raced. This wasn't a joke anymore. It was becoming something big, something impossible to ignore. Her mother turned to her slowly. "Joy," she said softly, "do you know what's going on?" Joy smiled, her eyes glistening. Let's just say Michael kept his promise. For the first time in a long while, her mother covered her mouth, tears slipping down her cheeks, not from sadness, but from shock and relief. The same villagers who once whispered that Joy loved poverty were now wondering, who is this Michael? And even more importantly, what else are they hiding? But none of them had any clue. The biggest surprise of the day was still waiting, and it would come the moment Michael walked in. By 4 p.m., Joy's compound had become something straight out of a dream. The sun dipped low, casting a warm golden glow over the canopies and carefully arranged buffet tables. The music played softly in the background, smooth high life with modern touches, not loud but elegant. A large cooling van sat humming quietly near the side, packed with every kind of drink you could think of. Water, malt, exotic fruit wine, canned juice, energy drinks, even imported liquor for special guests. The villagers couldn't believe their eyes. People who had never stepped foot into Joy's home were now seated under the white and gold canopies, eating and sipping as if they were royalty. The village elders sat in front, nodding slowly, whispering among themselves. The women wore expressions of stunned awe. The young girls gawked at Joy, whispering, "Is this the same Joy who used to sell rice by the roadside?" Then came the convoy. First, a sleek white Jeep Wrangler rolled slowly into the compound, kicking up just enough dust to silence the crowd. Behind it, 3 more black SUVs followed, their engines humming like a quiet threat. These weren't just cars, they were statements. Out of the second vehicle, 3 sharp-looking young men stepped down, Michael's closest friends and business partners. Each wore native attire stitched with the kind of precision only money could buy. They weren't there to show off, but somehow they didn't need to. From the Jeep, the door opened slowly. A polished black shoe touched the ground, then the other. And finally, Michael stepped out, not limping, not with a cane, not in a wheelchair, but standing tall, confident, every step measured and strong. The village gasped in one voice, mouths hung open, children tugged at their mothers. "But I thought he was crippled." "Is that him?" The drummers began beating their talking drums. Women screamed in shock, others began ululating in disbelief. The atmosphere changed like a switch had been flipped. From the far end of the compound, Joy emerged. And this time she was not the Joy anyone knew. She wore a high-grade imported George wrapper, deep red with gold embroidery that shimmered in the light. Her blouse hugged her gracefully, her beads sat royally on her neck, and her makeup was flawless, subtle yet stunning. She walked not shyly, but with quiet, radiant dignity. As she approached Michael, people stepped aside like waves parting for royalty. She reached him with a soft smile and he offered his arm. She took it. They walked together side by side toward the couple's seat, and the whole village was frozen in place. Michael's friends followed, spraying money as if it had no value, crisp notes raining like confetti. Some danced, others cheered, but most just watched in absolute disbelief. Even Joy's mother had to sit down, hand on her chest, overwhelmed with emotion. The same girl who once sold rice at the market, the same one they laughed at, was now walking with the grace of a queen, beside a man who many were now calling a prince in disguise. Whispers filled the air. "I thought he was crippled. He's not just rich, he's powerful." What kind of love is this? She didn't tell anyone. Even her mother didn't know. But Joy just smiled, because she knew the secret, and the day was far from over. What came next would silence even the worst gossip in the village. The drums rolled louder now. The DJ had taken over. Music echoed through the village, smooth, celebratory, and dignified. The MC called the couple forward. "It is time for the couple's first dance." Michael rose from his seat, extended his hand to Joy, and the crowd erupted in cheers. Joy stood, and together they glided into the center. The music slowed. Traditional dancers circled them, clapping and singing. They danced, not flashy, not rehearsed. Just simple steps full of grace and power. The kind of dance that said, "We made it." People watched in awe, others joined in. Money rained again, crisp notes fluttering from above as Michael's friends continued to spray the couple. Some of the villagers who came to mock now couldn't help but dance with joy. Then the MC called for Joy's mother. What happened next brought the entire place to a standstill. Joy's mother stepped out, slowly, regally. She wore the same imported George wrapper that Joy had secretly ordered for her. It arrived just before the occasion. She hadn't told anyone, but was her day too. When she danced into the crowd, the drummers changed rhythm. A chant broke out, "Mama Joy, ooh, Mama Joy, ooh." Even the elders stood up to clap. Women cheered, some shedding tears, others whispered, "This woman suffered, but look at her now." After the mother danced and returned to her seat, Michael stepped forward with the microphone. He looked around the compound, then slowly said, "When I came to this village, I walked with crutches. I sat by the roadside to beg for food. I watched people laugh at me, insult me. Some even chased me away like a dog. The entire place went quiet. But one woman didn't laugh. One woman didn't insult me. She fed me every single day, even when she didn't have enough. And that woman is now my wife." The crowd exploded into applause. "And her mother, who didn't know who I was, welcomed me like a son. Today I am proud to stand here as your husband and your son." He turned, gave the mic to Joy, and now it was her turn. Joy held the mic with both hands, took a deep breath, and smiled. Her eyes shimmered, not with tears but with pride. "Thank you all for coming." The crowd clapped softly. "I know some of you came to mock me. It's okay. I forgive you." A few people bowed their heads, ashamed. But today is not about that. Today is about one woman, my mother, the woman who stood for me when the world looked down on us, the woman who gave me strength when I wanted to give up. She turned toward her mother. "Mama, I told you one day I'll put a smile on your face. I told you one day you'll wear lace and they'll call you Madame." Now the crowd was silent, many in tears. "For everything they collected from you because you didn't have a male child, I will give you bigger." Thunderous applause. "Because a daughter who is raised with love is worth more than 10 sons." The compound shook with cheers. Joy smiled gently, handed back the microphone, and bowed. The ceremony continued and slowly came to an end. But what remained was not just a wedding, it was a statement. A seed had been planted. Epilogue: The Rise of Joy. Months later, Joy returned to the village, not just as a wife but as a force. With Michael's support and her own growing boldness, she reclaimed her father's land from her greedy uncle, bought more land surrounding it, and began to build a mansion for her mother, with tiled floors, modern plumbing, solar panels, and everything her mother never had. A school for the children of the community, free uniforms, trained teachers, and even a small library. A hospital with real nurses, clean beds, and medicine on shelves. And guess what? Joy, the same girl who never finished secondary school, enrolled in the university. Not for show, for real. She studied, graduated, then went on to earn her master's degree. By the time she gave birth to her 3 beautiful children, people no longer whispered behind her back. They spoke her name with pride. Joy, the girl who turned pain into power. Joy, the girl who brought light to her mother's name. Joy, the woman who proved that kindness wins. And as for Michael, he remained by her side, not just as her husband, but as her biggest fan, her partner, and her peace. They built not just a home, but a legacy. A home filled with laughter, respect, and a love so deep that the village still tells their story even today.